So these are the different scenarios that can happen with the dam system. And now what we can do is we can look for the energy loss. Again, since I said that this damping term is a non-conservative force, right? So the energy is going to be changed now. The system will not be in a constant energy mode. So there will be loss in energy, and we need to find out how that change in energy depends on the damping. Okay. So let's say the energy. Let's say I'll write an energy loss for these systems, right? And now the energy is still kinetic plus potential at any given instant, right? Of course, it's changing. So now it's a function of time. So energy is a function of time, and kinetic energy and potential will also be a function of time. Okay. Now to find, now again we can start with our solution. Xt equal to x naught is to minus gamma over 2t cos omega dt plus phi. This is the solution. To find the kinetic energy, I need to find the velocity. So let me write down x dot t, which will be in this case x naught e raised to minus gamma by 2t, gamma by 2t minus omega naught sine omega dt, not omega naught, omega d plus phi, right? This term plus differential of this, so minus gamma by 2 x naught exponential minus gamma by 2t cos of omega dt plus phi, right? So this is the velocity, and now we will say that again, so since we are interested in energy loss in doing the periodic motion in the presence of damping, we'll consider the light damping case, or the condition for light damping. That means gamma by 2 is much less than omega naught. If this is the condition, then now what we can do is we can look at this velocity scheme, and what we can see is the two terms in magnitude, they are bound by this periodic function sin omega dt plus phi here and cos omega dt plus phi here. Both the functions will oscillate between plus minus 1, right? So they control the relative magnitude between these two constant terms, or as a function of time at any given instant, right? Now both these are, so the first one is multiplied by omega d, second one is multiplied by gamma, and under light damping condition omega d is almost same as omega naught, the natural frequency, right? Whereas gamma is much less than natural frequency. So what one can argue is this term under light damping condition, this term will have a very small effect. Majority of it will come from here, so we can neglect this in calculating the velocity, and in that way then my x dot t I can simply write as minus x naught omega naught exponential minus gamma over 2t sine omega dt plus phi, right? Let me just confirm this. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Right. X naught here. This is also. So x naught is basically the magnitude, the maximum amplitude, right? Okay. So this is the case. This is my velocity now. I know x. I know x dot t. I can write down the energy as half m x dot square plus half k x square, and again we are taking the potential energy as half k x square, although we argued that if we are looking for work done on a system in the presence of both conservative and non-conservative forces, right, then the effect of conservative force will be in terms of a potential energy function. Non-conservative force we cannot define as such a potential energy function, but here again in a light damping condition, I am saying that the potential energy is described like this. Only change is that I have the x term as a explicit time dependence, in the sense that the amplitude itself keeps on going with time. It's not just oscillating, the amplitude actually is decaying, and that is the loss of energy. That is the energy that is being lost from the potential energy and from the kinetic energy and going into some other degrees of, in some other mode of energy, and that is why there won't be a conservation of mechanical energy, right? So of course the law is not going to be valid here because we have a non-conservative force. You can solve this, you can put these values there and write it down. I will write down the expression. E of t is basically half m omega naught square x naught square exponential minus gamma t. We can recall this half m omega naught square x naught square is nothing but your energy, constant energy, which was m omega naught square a square. This is nothing but the constant energy of a simple harmonic oscillator without any damping, right? So this is basically, and now with the damping, what is happening is some initial energy is going to change. So we can take this as the initial energy, and we can then write down E of t is E naught, the energy with which the system begins to oscillate, and exponential minus gamma t. So the energy of the system also goes down as an exponential with the characteristic time again divided by the damping constant. We can relate this to the damping constant in a more explicit way. So what one says is the characteristic damping time is defined when E of t, or let's say E of t, is equal to E0 over E. So when the total energy goes to 1 by E of its original value, that time will be defined as the characteristic damping time. And if you are writing it like this, then we can write down this, we write down this tau. Then the tau is equal to 1 over gamma. Right? So this is then called the damping time for the system, right? The time in which the system will lose 1 over E of its original energy. So at least for the light damp case, we can sort of find out the energy of the system, and we can relate it to the original energy in the system and see how the energy dissipates with time, right? And basically, if we have this equation, then we can also see over each cycle how much energy one is losing. Right? Okay. So now let's end this the analysis of the damping by defining another term, which is termed as the quality factor for such systems, right? The quality factor, it's a dimensionless parameter, as we'll soon see. So define the quality factor as average energy of the system divided by average energy loss in 1 radian, right? So basically, every cycle is defined as 2 pi radians. So the energy is stored in the system divided by the energy lost by the system in making 1 radian motion, not the complete cycle, only 1 radian motion. So this is the definition for this, defining this quality factor Q. And what we can do is, now since we know the time dependence of energy, we can very quickly find this one out. So let's do that. And for that we need to find, so every energy loss in 1 radian motion, right, or the time it takes to move 1 radian, and how much time it takes to move. So in one time period it moves 2 pi radians. So the time for 1 radian is basically equal to 1 over omega naught. Okay. And this is this, let's call it delta t, right? And this is the time, then energy loss in delta t is equal to delta E is rate of change of energy loss, right? So we know the functional form of energy as a function of time. So you can find out how the energy is changing with respect to time. So rate of change of energy into the time over which you want to measure it, right? So this is delta E, and then this term is basically E over delta E, the energy and the energy loss in making 1 radian motion. Okay, so we can put it there, and what we can find is the quality factor is gamma of E by omega naught, right? So I can write down this one as E was E0 exponential minus gamma t. So dE upon dt is minus gamma E0 exponential minus gamma t or minus gamma E. So all we have done is put it here. So we get we get gamma E over omega naught, and this is the quality factor for the this delta E. I am just putting it here. So delta E, and now from here I can find the quality factor energy divided by this. So the quality factor is then omega naught over gamma. Good. So let's just go once again. Quality factor is energy divided by energy lost in 1 radian. Time taken for 1 radian is 1 over omega naught, that's your delta t. So energy loss in time delta t is basically rate of change of energy into delta t. That will give us gamma E over omega naught, and then divide this, divide total energy by this number, which is E over gamma E over omega naught. Quality factor is omega naught over gamma, right? And in this way, once you write it this way, the quality factor gives us important information. It basically is the ratio of characteristic frequency k by m, square root of k by m, and the damping constant b by m, right? So it tells us, depending on what is the relative weight factor of omega naught and gamma, it tells us what is the value of q, and we can readily see that gamma much smaller compared to omega naught. Our light damping situation, where we did expect several oscillations with close to characteristic frequency and the amplitude going down a bit slowly, q will be much larger. So for gamma much smaller than omega naught, right, q will be much greater than 1. So it will be very large q. And in fact, systems, the normal simple harmonic systems with extremely light damping, right, of which are used in practical sense, they have q values starting from something like 1000 up to 1,000,000, right? So that's the typical number at which you want the q value to be. Of course, if gamma is close to omega naught, q will be 1. So this is light damping. If gamma or gamma by 2 is equal to omega naught, because that's what we did in terms of critical damping. So critical damping case, if this is the situation, then we know that q value will be equal to half. And of course, any q value below this is basically means that your system is over damped and simply stop making motion very soon. Okay. So I'll give few problems related to this in the tutorial and assignments, which you can solve to understand it better, and rest we'll do in the next lecture.